quick. So, was anybody able to? Yeah. So, was anybody able to find the triangle output? Like, I think some people were, right? Who was able? Who calculated? Who calculated the answer correctly? Some of you guys did. I'm just asking, like, who calculated it? Who got the answer? That's what I'm asking. So I'm expecting the people who did to give me a yes or just acknowledge that. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, great. Somebody else did too.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you did. See, it's not that difficult to say a yes. It's not that difficult to just respond. It's like not like something, I'm not sitting here to like scold you or something. It's not school. I'm not gonna scold you. I'm not gonna like, it's like you guys are also pretty less people in the group. It's not like that 100 people or whatever. So you guys can say a yes or a no so that we can move ahead more smoothly and quickly, and that I feel like you guys are listening. It's not just me talking one way, right? So try and respond. I'm not asking these difficult questions. I'm just asking yes or no questions at this point. Yeah, so yeah, moving ahead. I saw you guys doing it, but one thing which I noticed was you guys were still making mistakes because you used numbers which were like getting divided completely. So let me just first tell you what I mean by that. I'm not saying that you guys were wrong. You guys were on the right track, doing the right thing. But there was one thing you had to keep in mind, which I did not tell you. I just wanted to see, like, I wanted you guys to get stuck, and then so you understand it more that what the problem was. Because right now you know what the problem is. When you try, this is what um, the ones who got stuck asked me. Like when you try this and you calculate it, what you get is actually a zero. See, you're getting a zero, but there are numbers, there's calculations we made. Like, this is like, somewhat baffling. You're dividing 1 by 2, which should be 0.5, and then multiplied by 5, and you multiply by 6. Like, if you're doing that much calculation, how are you just getting a zero? Oh, I'm sorry, I did not share the screen. Yeah, I'm sorry, wait. Yeah, can you see it now? Yeah, sorry for that. So yeah, what I was saying was like a lot of you guys where you stuck was when you did this and you executed a program, what you got was a zero. And it just doesn't make sense. Like when you are multiplying, you get a 1 by 2, which is a zero point 0.5 over here, and you multiply it by 5 and multiply it by 6. Why are you getting a zero? That just doesn't make sense. Does anybody of you know, like, somebody has an idea why we're getting a zero? Like, it would be really amazing if somebody can, did somebody figure it out? Yes, no, something?
No, ma'am.
Okay, it's fine. So I'll just tell you. So what happens? See, this is a thing which you should, keep in mind. There are like a lot of things about Java or even like whatever programming language you learn. There's like some certain things you need to keep in mind while coding, and they're like those are the syntaxes and how the language works. So this is something like how Java. This is about something how Java works. So what happens is when you divide two integers, even if you store it in a double or a float, double and a float stores decimal numbers, right? But what is this? These two are integers. If you divide two integers, you will get an integer. And let me just show you what I mean by that is if I do, let me just do this. If I do this, 1 by 2 and execute it. Yeah, see, you don't get a zero point 0.5, you get a 0. Why? Because when you're dividing two integers, you will get an integer. And we know that integer takes stores only 4 bytes, right? Integer is smaller than a double, right? Integer is smaller than a double. That's why, just to make this 1 divided by 2 into an integer, Java just removes all the part which is after, the decimal point. It loses that part. That's what we were talking about yesterday. Like if we try and save a double into an integer, it will lose some of its part. It will lose some of its stuff because an integer is just 4 bytes and double takes 8, right? So that's why it loses the point. It just takes the integer part and just ignores all of your decimal part of it. That's why it ends up being a 0. So I think now you get it why you were getting a zero point 0.0 over here, right? Because this became 0, and if you multiply 0 with anything, you get 0. Is this point clear? Is somebody stuck still? Let me know. Do you guys get it why you got a 0? Then I'll tell you how to not get that 0.
Yes, ma'am.
Understood? Is anybody stuck? Even if like one of you is stuck, I will go over it again. Just let me know if somebody still doesn't understand.
Can you repeat it, ma'am, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll repeat it once again. What happens is, okay, so what happens if you divide integer by integer, what you're gonna get is an int. Okay, and if you divide a double by an integer, you will get a double. Whenever you're dividing something, you will get the biggest unit. Okay, like integer over here, both of these take 4 bytes, so the answer will be stored in 4 bytes. Over here double takes 8 and integer takes 4, so the answer would actually be able to take 8 bytes. I think now you get it. Like the whatever is the biggest data type, that will the result will be in that data type. Okay, like double is the biggest, so the result will be in double. Here in both are integers, so the result is an int. So one is an integer, it's not a decimal number. Two decimal number, by decimal I mean floating point numbers, and two is also an integer, right? So when you divide two integers, the result will be an integer. What is 1 by 2? It's 0.5, right? But 0.5, what is it? It's a double type, it's float, it's a floating point number. So to make it int, Java just ignores everything after the decimal point. It will not consider that. So what is before the decimal point is just 0. 0.5, if you lose the point 0.5, what is left? 0 is left. That's why when you divide 1 by 2, you get 0. Okay, you want to try something else? Let's try 1 by 3 and let's see what will happen. This will get a 0, right? Let's try something else. Let's try 4 by 3 and see what we get. You get 1. Why do you get, what is 4 by 3? Can somebody tell me what is 4 divided by 3 in like actuality? Guys, what's 4 divided by 3?
1.3, ma'am.
Yeah, 1.3. But you don't get the point 3, because what does Java do? It just gets rid of everything after the point, because these both are integers, so it's supposed to give you an integer. But if you had one of them was, let's say, a double. Now this is a double value. Guys understand, like now it is a double value. You guys understand, like if I write a point 0, it's not an integer anymore, it's a double or a float, right? So now let's see what will happen. Now you get 1.333, the actual expected answer. Because double takes 8 and integer takes 4, so they can store the answer in the double. Whatever is the biggest one, they store the answer in it. Double and integer, double is the biggest, so the answer will be of the type double. Is now this clear? Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am, clear.
Okay. Is anybody else still stuck? I'll go over it again if you're still stuck. I'll give more examples. Everybody just understands this part of, like, if you divide integer and integer, you get an integer. That means it will just ignore everything after the decimal point. And if you divide a double by an integer, you will get a double. You guys understand this, right? I'm hoping you do. If you don't, let me know. So to get this answer, what you will have to do, you just need to put a point 0. So now this makes it a double type. So now you will get the expected answer. See, you got a 15. And another thing, why were you getting a 0.0 and not just a 0? It's because you made C of type double. So C was of type double. Double means there should be a decimal point. That's why just add the point 0 over there. If there's nothing in the decimal part, we'll just put a point 0 because this is of type double. Any confusion?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Nice. Okay, great. Anybody else? If you have any confusion, you can ask me. But I hope this is clear. This is an important thing which, while doing programs where you need to do calculation, you should keep in mind that if you just do normal, you just write, divide it as it is, it will just not work. Like it will work, but you will not get your expected output. You will get something else, which should not be happening. And this is not a fault of Java. This is like the programmer's issue, like you didn't pay attention to the syntax and stuff. So that's what it was. Java doesn't make mistake, it's all mostly our mistake, so you just need to figure it out. Another thing I saw people doing, keep in mind the index. This system, the S is capital. When you write string, the S is capital. Static, the S is smaller. So I want you to keep in mind this stuff too. All right, so we'll just move on. We're done with this. I've also explained you division in Java, how it works, right? Now what I want to do is if and else loop. Like it's not loop, if and else is what we're going into, then we'll do loops afterwards. We get into if and else construct right now. Wait, I'll come over here and can I get rid of all of this? Has anybody used if and else before? Does anybody know what if else is? What I mean by if else statements? Nope. It's clear.
Ma'am, they are the conditions.
Yeah, nice, great. Lokesha, you want to say something? Okay, join. Okay. Okay. So, what is if and else like? If you want to, it's like normally how you say if this thing is true, do this. If it's not, then do the other thing. Like in English, you use if this, else that. It's like similarly the same thing, but in programming. So, what I mean is like if you want to do something, you will write if this condition is true, then you have brackets. Okay, you will do this, else do this. Do you guys understand what I wrote, what I mean by this? You will have a condition, like let's say you are writing a program where if what you've it reaches a situation where you have to check a condition, and if that condition is true, what do you mean by true? Like that condition is not false, like it's correct, like it's been fulfilled, then you need to do certain steps. You need to perform certain steps, you need to do certain calculations or whatever. But if it is not true, then you used to like then you need to do something else, right? So that's where you use it. We'll just take an example. Let's say we have a number, int a equals to 4. Let's say we need to check if the number is let's say to do if the number is positive, we'll do something, and if the number is negative, we'll do something else. So let's check, like if a is greater than 0. If a is greater than 0, that means positive. You guys understand that? If the number is greater than 0, then it is positive. So when it is positive, let's yeah, let's print positive. Else you guys understand this? If a is greater than 0, then that means it is positive, so we'll do this. And otherwise, if like it is not greater than 0, it is less than 0, then we will perform the other part of the code. So let's see if it works. Okay, wait, I'm sorry. Yeah. See, you got positive, you did not get a negative, and if I make this into -4, you got negative. Did you guys see? You see this works. So what happens is when like you're writing the code, how the compiler works, it says okay, there's A, it will give it some location, memory location, will store -4 in it. Come forward, it notices there's an if statement. There's an if block. It will say, what does it say? If A is greater than 0. So it will check, is A greater than 0? If it is, if the answer is yes, then it will come inside these brackets. You guys see these? This bracket, it will do whatever is inside this bracket. It can be like whatever. It could be some calculation. It could just be, printing something. And and once like let's say like this was positive, it will like come inside this and then it will just ignore the else part. It will not do what's in the else part. Okay? And then after doing whatever's inside of it, it will just come out. But if the number is negative, if this turns out to be false, so it will ignore whatever is inside if and it will straight away go to else. Let me just make it more clear by, let's say, if I do this and I will just write outside if, and I will also add one of this copy. Okay. So now I think this will be more clear to you guys. See, right now what happened? It came over here and was outside if block. Then it came over here, checked the condition. But the condition was false. It was not true because A is -4. It is not greater than 0. It is less than 0. So it didn't go inside this. It didn't do this. It skipped all of this part and it straight away went inside the else part and printed negative. As soon as it was done, it completed doing whatever was inside the else part. It came outside of the if block and like started normally continuing doing whatever it was doing. So it's printed outside if again. And now let's say if this was positive, a similar thing will happen. See, it is first outside. It saw the condition was true, so it came inside the if block. But after doing this, it did not go inside the else block. It's done. The if part was executed, so it will just skip the whole complete else part and it will just come outside. Do you guys follow? Do you guys understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, very nice. What about others? I am expecting like somebody can be stuck. It's a bit confusing.
Yes, ma'am.
You understood it? Nice. What about others? Should I go over it once again? Should I take another
No, ma'am.
example?
Clear, clear, ma'am.
Okay, very nice. Great. So now let's try doing another thing. Another thing I want to tell you guys, these are like some these are conditional things that you can use. So what all you can use is what I'll go over. So you can write something is A is greater than 10, or something like A is less than A is less than 10, right? You have greater than equal to. You guys understand what this is? This is like if I write this, so it will check if A is either greater than 10 or is it equal to 10. Like both those things follow. Like it can be greater than or equal than, or it could be less than or equals. All right. And you can even use A is not equal to something. That means A should not be 10. If it's anything else, it works. If A is 10, then it doesn't. A should not be equal to 10, right? And to write like A is equal to 10, if you want to check this, you don't write 1 equals. Why? Because we use a single equal to assign stuff. We use it over here. Java uses single equal to provide value to something. So we use double equals. We write A is equal. This means that they both should be same. Like A should be equal, let's say 10. All right. And you can even have A is not greater than. This exclamation mark is used for not. Like this is like the exclamation mark is a not, so it just reverts it. Like A is not equal to. It's not equal to 10, and this is A is equal 10. Do you guys understand these? There are even other stuff that I Let me search if I can find it. I did not take it out. I just realized you should know it. Java conditional operator. Mm. Yeah, these. See, I want you to know. Um, yeah, let me just take an example. That would be way more easier. So let's say first, let's go over a simple thing. Let's try finding that a number is um, even or not. So can somebody, I hope I'm audible, yeah. So can somebody tell me how would you check if a number is even or if it is not even, like mathematically? How will you check?
Ma'am, if n is divisible by 2, then it's even, or is not divisible by 2, then it's prime.
Yeah, so yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, yes, Naveen, sir, that's absolutely correct. A divided by modulus. Now, if you check the comment section, everybody, he did not use the normal division slash. He used the modulus because the percentage sign gives us the remainder. It doesn't give us the quotient. It gives the remainder. Yeah, the mod sign. The sign which is like the percentage sign. If anybody's still confused about it, it gives you the remainder, not the quotient. The slash gives you the quotient. And absolutely, for a number to be even, it should be completely divided by 2. And by completely divided, we mean that the remainder should be 0. So we'll try and check that. So we'll say a modulus to not a single equal, we'll do a double equal 0 for like equal, that these should be equal together. So we will print even. And if it is not, every time you have a true false situation, you can use this if and else block. Okay, like if it is true, you do this. If it is not, then you do the other part. So it's not even, then it is odd, right? Execute it. We got even. Let's see what happens if we use a single equals to sign. See, it doesn't work. It will not work. Why? Because this is used for assigning. What does this mean? That one side is a variable and the other side is some value. If it is not that way, it will give you a error. See, it says a required variable and it found a value. It required a variable but found a value. That's why to check equality, we use double equals. Okay, it works. And if we make this odd, let's say take a 13, prints odd. Is, do you guys follow? Do you guys understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a second, guys. Just wait for a second. I'm sorry for that. So yeah, if like you guys are clear till now, like if you guys want to ask something, you can ask me. If you guys are stuck somewhere, if not,
Ma'am,
yes.
ma'am means if we have to check whether the condition is true or false, so we use double sign operator, ma'am.
Mm, this, yeah,
Yes,
you
yes.
use them, yeah, to check equality, to check if whatever is over here is equals to this. Right? Like how you in maths you check if two, like LHS equals to RHS. If you want to like do that, you want to check like both the sides are equal in value, then you use the double equal sign. Is that clear? you
Yes,
you
ma'am.
yeah. Great. So now I'm gonna do something else. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and check. This is one condition, right? This is only one condition. We had only one condition over here. If a modulus 2 equal 0, then do this. Otherwise, do something else. What if we want to check multiple conditions? What if we want to check that a number is, greater than 10 but less than 20? That's what we're trying to check. If you want to check a number is greater than 10 and it is also less than 20, what would be like a number like this? What would be a number greater than 10 but less than 20? Hmm? Guys, give me a number greater than, yeah.
Ma'am, 11 to 19.
Yeah, great. If you, for some reason in a program, we need a number like that. We need a number which is greater than 10 and it's less than 20. So what are we saying? We are saying it is and less than 20. So we just used the and, those are called conditional operators. Java has conditional operators, which is logical and, it's called and there's logical or, which is these two bars, and the ternary operator right now you can forget about it. So there's these two things, there's logical and there's logical or. What does and do? What does and means? Like just like how in English we have and, both the things should be true. Like we say and, it means this condition should be true and this condition should be true, only then the if part will execute. When both the condition or whatever, now you can put any number, you can have more, you can have like, you can use more of it. So but whatever it is, all the conditions should be true. Okay, this should be true and this should also be true, then the if part will execute, otherwise the else part will execute. Let's try checking it. Let's say this is I'll just say this is if and that is else, so I don't have to change it again and again. Okay, see, it went inside the if block. If I had one, which would make the condition not true. See, because 1 is less than 10 and it is also yeah, it's not greater than 10 and it's, but it was less than 20, right? 1 is 1 less than 20 or not? 1 is less than 20, right? So when the condition was being checked, it checked if a is greater than 10, a's value is 1. Is a greater than 10? No, it is not. But then it checked, is a less than 20? Yes, 1 is less than 20. So one condition was true, but the other was false, right? But it didn't execute because for and, both the conditions should be true. Do you guys follow? Do you guys understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. What about other people? What about you do? Okay.
Yes, ma'am, understood.
Nice. But what happens with or when you use or is this bar symbols? What does it do? For this only one, if this is true or this is true. If both the condition is true, great, if it will execute. But if only one condition is true, then also it will execute. Like if I execute it now, it will give you an if. Why? Because when it checked a is greater than 10. No. A is less than 20. Yes. One was true, then also it works. When you use if one condition is true, it will execute when you're using or, and when you use and, both the condition or whatever number of condition are there, all of them should be true. Do you guys follow this? Do you guys understand this? Let me just take another example. Like if let's say if we make it 13 again, it will still work. But if I make it let's say 40, it will still work though. Yeah, because it is greater than 10. It is greater than 10. That part is true. Let's try making this also false. Let's say it is greater than equal to 10. Mm. Yeah. See now, is a equal 10? No, it's not. It's 40. Is a less than 20? No, it's greater. It's 40. So both the condition are false. That's when it went into the else part. You guys understood what I was trying to tell you? Did you guys now understand how to use and or? Do you guys understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Nice. I hope today's class is a bit more, interesting. It's more about coding. I think that's what you guys prefer. Um, yeah, so we're done with we're even done with if else. You guys even understand how to use if and else and when to use if and else, right? You guys understand when to use it. You use it when you need to check some condition, and if that condition is true, if the condition is true, you need to do certain actions, and if it is false, you need to do the other, other actions. So to check that kind of situation, you use if and else. Follow it? Should I move ahead or anybody wants to ask something? Okay, we'll move forward. Now I'm gonna go back a bit. I'm gonna tell you about functions now and how you can use it. Public static. Let's have a triangle function which will give us area of a triangle. So how do you will have a double area which will be equals to 1.0 divided by 2 into length into breadth, and then you should be printing it. Do you guys understand this? This is what you guys already did. This is what I explained to you just when the class started. Also keep in mind when you're naming variables, I just take a and b for just giving you guys examples over here. So, but when you're taking variables, try and take words that make sense so that when you're reading your program after, maybe a month or maybe a week, you realize what you're doing. If you just write A into B divided by it gives you C, you would have to think like what is happening, right? But when you read this, you say, oh, area is equals to length into breadth. You get exactly when you're reading it, you understand what's going on. If I were to just written C is equals to, A into B, it could mean anything. Are we multiplying some money? Are we multiplying, is it length? It is money? Is it like, maybe some liquid quantities that we're trying to calculate? Like what we're doing, it's not clear. But when you take variable names that make sense, like it's more readable, and that's when you read it, you understand what's happening. Okay, so that's a good practice, and that's how you should be coding. Otherwise, even like when you see your own code after some time, you would be completely baffled. You will not understand what's happening. You would have to put your head into it for a really long time trying to understand what you were trying to do back then. So yeah, so we know this, we have a main method, and then we just made another new method which we named triangle. Outside these, like where the main ended, inside a class we can have as many methods as we want. Okay, you guys realize that inside the class we can have as many methods as we want. Why do we use different methods? Let's say we made an application where we were trying to we were doing currency conversion, let's say. Okay, we were converting some currency, and it would be every time like user gives a new value, you need to calculate it into whatever currency it's asking you to do. So every time a new user will enter a separate value, you have to do it again and again and again. When we need to do something like a piece of code is being used again and again in a program in separate places, being used again and again, you can put it in a separate method in a separate function and just call this function every time you need to perform those actions. So you don't have to write that code again and again, right? Let's say I have to find triangle at three areas, three different parts in the program. I needed to use this area, I needed to calculate it again and again. So if I wrote it like in the same main method, I would need to write this line, over and over again. And that's what we try to avoid while we're coding. We don't want to repeatedly do the same thing. If we are repeating something again and again, we should put it in a separate method and just call the method. So every time you call it, the compiler will come over here, execute this part, and go back. So I hope you're understanding why we use it, right? And it even makes it more clear. Like if you put everything in one file, it like one place, it will get very, confusing, and there's like a lot happening. If you divide it into different methods, it's more understandable, and it's easier for you to debug. It's easier for you to, if something's making, there's an error pops up, it's easier for you to figure out what went wrong and in which part of the code I must have made a mistake. So you just go over there and fix it. Otherwise, you would have to go through the whole file fixing it again and again. Let's say by mistake you wrote, the wrong spelling over here, but you kept on, copy and pasting this line again and again and again wherever you needed it. So everywhere you wrote the wrong spelling. Now you need to fix it. You realized when you executed the code, it gave you an error. You're like, oh no, I wrote the wrong spelling. Now you need to go through the whole file searching for it and changing the spelling everywhere. I know you can use that replace all button or whatever, but this is like, I'm just giving you an example. It could be like a bigger mistake. It could be, something else you need to change, and you would have to go through the whole code doing it. But if you put it inside a method and just use that method again and again, you would just need to make the changes over here, and the code will work completely fine. So I hope you get a little bit of idea. It will be more clear when we go along this example. So let's say that we had two numbers. This is what the user gave you. It gave you 20 and it gave you a 10 and a 20. And then it wanted you to calculate the area of a triangle. So what you would do, you call triangle. Or right now, let me do it a bit differently. Okay. Right now, let me just say we have int length equal to 10, and we have breadth which is equal to 20. All right. So it was a program where you needed to calculate the area of a triangle, and so you just called triangle over here in the main method. You did this, and then you wrote system dot out dot. I want to show you guys how the compiler works. That's what I'm trying to do so that you understand it better. Inside, and then uh, wait a second, guys. What did I do wrong?
Ma'am, triangle. My mistake है.
Triangle spelling.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I'm maybe writing it wrong, so I'll just make it same. Yeah. Did I spell triangle correctly now? Is that how, like, I'm so confused with spelling all the time. Is this the correct spelling? Is that how you spell triangle? You have EL. Can somebody just let me know? Okay. That would be embarrassing if I spell it wrong. But whatever. We are here learning coding and not English spellings. So, yeah. So, okay, thank you for correcting over there. See, that's why I need you guys to respond so that even I don't end up making mistakes. So, what I'm trying to make you understand now, pay attention. We are looking at how the compiler works. All right, we are looking at how the compiler, when it's executing the program, how it runs. It will come over here to the main. It came over here, it came inside of it. Okay, this is where it reached. It saw system.out.print. It printed your inside main. What does this mean? That the compilers over it reached inside main. Then it moved forward, it found this triangle. Right? What does this mean? You're giving a call to the function triangle. This is what we were even discussing yesterday. We're giving a call to the function, to the method triangle, like a phone call. It means the compiler from here needs to leave everything it's doing. It will just leave whatever it's doing and will go to triangle. It will leave whatever it's doing. It will not wait. It will directly go to triangle and start executing whatever is inside of it. And how do we know it does it? Because after here, instead of going forward to do this, it straight away came over here, printed inside triangle. You guys see this? So as soon as it saw this part, as soon as it saw that a method is being called, it just leaves whatever it's doing and goes to that method and executes whatever is inside that method. So it executed this inside triangle. Then it came forward, saw length and breadth, calculated the area, and it printed the area over here. Here's the area. Then what did it do? It, after doing it, it saw, okay, this method triangle ended. What will it do now? It goes back where it left. It left from here. This is where it left. It executed all of this. So after finishing this, it will come back here. This is where it will reach. And how, and then it will start executing whatever is left in the main method. So what was left? Back to main. So it prints back to main. Is this clear? Do you guys understand what I'm trying to tell you? Hmm?
Clear, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is actually kind of important. If somebody, you need to understand how the Java compiler works, only then you will be able to make it work for yourself. If you don't understand how it is working, how the compiler is working, you will not be able to, write code which function. Then you will just be doing hit and trials. You need to know how it will work, where it will go, what will it do for certain statements. When you realize that, when you understand that, you will be able to write code like very seamlessly. You will not have to think. You will just know, okay, this is what the compiler will do. So if anybody even like a little bit confused, you can ask me. It's fine.
Ma'am, will you please pardon that code? Okay.
Should I go over it once more?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the compiler, the first thing we went over it yesterday a lot. The first thing it goes to the main method, right? So it goes to the main and comes inside the main method. What do I mean by inside? Is inside these braces, inside these. So it will come over here and it will read the first line, which is system out to print, and it will just print whatever is inside of it, which is inside main. When it is done with it, it will come to the next line. That's how it works. It read the line, did it like, no, it reads the whole file at once, but like it must go like, inside must be reading one line at a time. We're just taking it like that. So after that came to the second one. What did it say? It said call triangle. Call triangle, go to triangle. So it will leave whatever it's doing. It will not go forward and first do this and then go to triangle. No, it will straight away jump to triangle and start executing whatever is inside triangle. And what was inside triangle? First we printed this inside triangle. How do we know that it went over there? See, you can see it in the output. It went inside triangle, said inside triangle. Then it printed the area. After that, like whatever was inside triangle got finished, the whole method ended. It reached the last ending base. Then it was like, now what does it do? Where will it go now? Will it like just exit the program? No, it will go back to main from where it left. It left from here. From here, it jumped over there. So it will come and reach this point. As soon as it reaches this point, it will, how do we know it reach? It will just execute whatever is left in the main method and then it will just finish. This line was left, it will execute it and then the program finishes. So it just gives you the output. You guys, now is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
Yeah. And the part where I was talking about, what if you want to do this, same thing again and again, you can call it again. You can write again, you can write a triangle over here and it will, print it again. See what will happen? See, it printed it again. You didn't have to, if I wrote it in the code itself, I would have to write all of these lines, two times for no reason. There's like no need to do that. You can just write it in a function and keep on calling that function, that method, that function as many times as you want. So you will not have to do the same thing, write the same thing again and again and again. That's where they come in handy. What another thing you can do is you can send values over to a function. If you want to, call a function but also send a value to it, how you can do it? Let's say this was not over here, and we even discussed this a little yesterday. I think today it will be more clear to you guys. Let's say we wanted to send the value of 10 and 20 from here directly, and did not want to, now this needs, did not want to, define it over here. We want to send like different values every time. You want to calculate, area of different triangles. So yesterday we did this, like when you call a function, you cannot call it with like when you're calling it with a value, you need to tell the function that it needs to accept that value. So if we are sending two integers into the triangle function, we need to tell triangle that triangles you will be getting two integers when you're being called. So I will have to write over here int length and int breadth. You need to tell the data type. You need to tell the data type. It needs to know that it will get an int. It needs to know that it will get a double or a string or a character, whatever it's getting. Okay, so this will still, let me just check if it works. It will work. See, you get the output. This time you didn't have value inside of it. You were sending it from outside. So you can send different values. You can write triangle 40, like whatever, I'm writing whatever at this point. And you will get two different outputs. See, you got 100 for the first one and an 833 for the other one. Are you guys understanding what I'm trying to say? That you can send as many values as you want, but you need to tell the data types. And if the function is receiving a value, if it says that it will get like, two values, then it should get two values. You cannot just do it with one. It should not work this way. Give an error. See, you got an error. It wanted required int but found only int. See, the error messages help a lot to figure out where we went wrong. It required two ints but we gave only one int, so it will not work. So if you are writing something over here, then all of that should be given to it, so it should get it. All right, do you guys understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. Does anybody wants to ask something? No.
Ma'am, can we change the formula by using method?
Change the formula, this part.
Yeah,
um
in
I
different
think
methods.
yes, you can use different methods. Like you're telling me that you can send the formula like this, like from over here. I did not understand what you're trying to say by change the formula. I think like if you can explain it to me a bit better, like what you're trying to say, I will like surely address it. What do you mean by change the formula? You mean like this part could be sent to the function from outside?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you can do it, but you would have to do like then it makes no sense to to, if you, let's say you want to calculate area of a triangle, also want to calculate area of a square and an area of a rectangle, it's better if you have different functions doing different things. It's better like as like writing a program, it's your function should be technically doing only one thing. When you by function I mean the methods. I keep on, it's like the same thing, but in Java you just call them methods, and C, C++ you have functions. It's the same thing. A method should be, doing, executing only one thing. Okay, that's how they're meant. That's how it's like it works better. You can make it do like multiple things. It's not that wrong. You can make this thing calculate square and rectangle as well, but it's better if you make a function do only one thing. That's where you can isolate your code, and you can only make it's easier to debug. It's easier for other people to read and understand what's happening. If you want to send this thing, it needs to be calculated before. You cannot send as it is. You cannot just write over here, cannot just like write this whole thing if you want, like if this is what you're trying to do, like this. No, you cannot do it. It needs to be a single, value with a data type. This doesn't like it need this is doing some calculation, this will give some value, so that means you need to put the value over here, so it makes no sense like that. Okay, like if I write this, if I would have written that, I would have to give 34 and 49 to it there and there. So then all the function would be doing is like just printing something. So that's not how we do it. Yeah. So when you're passing values to a function, it needs to be a value. It cannot be, multiple, like it should be a single value. So if you're sending an int, it should be an int. Yes, what you can do, you can over here, let's say we had an int a, which was 5, and we can send over here. I'll just put it in a bracket so that it's easier to understand. You can write an a plus 5. So this will still work. Why did it still work? Because a plus 5, what is a plus 5 became? It became 10. So it just sent whatever was, the output of this into length. But it was 10 was still an integer. That's why it worked. So if whatever is being calculated, the answer of this, the result of this is of the data type that the function wants, then it will work. I think you understand what I'm trying to say. If you don't understand, we'll try to make it more like simplify it a bit more.
Yes, ma'am. It's okay, ma'am. Thank you.
No, you really do understand, right? There's no need for you, like you guys can ask me like 10 times if you don't understand. No need to just shy out from asking the same thing again and again. If it's clear, that's really great. So I hope you understand why we use function. We use function to perform a task. Don't even make you should not even be making, methods which kind of do something which is not required. You don't require a separate method to do it, like just making a method to maybe like print a single statement, or making a method for doing something which is not required, because then your compiler will be, jumping here and there in the program a lot, and it will like reduce the speed a bit of it to execute. So you need to keep in mind, make a method to perform a certain task which needs to be, which is an isolated task. It's like a separate task on itself, so that it makes the code more readable. It makes debugging for you, like how if you made a mistake over here, you can just come and clear it over here, and wherever it's being called, it's like fixed in the whole program. So time is already done. If you guys want to ask something, ask me. I will send you your task in the group. Um, let's say like in half an hour, maybe like before that. I'll make try and send it as early as possible. I will be sending programs to you guys, which will be using if and else, or which will, and try making use of methods in a programming. You guys can practice as much as you want. If you want, you can practice questions from outside, and if you still get stuck, you can ask me. There's no need to only practice the questions that I give you. So you can go beyond and practice more questions. Search for if and else questions, search for questions that require methods, search for numerical questions, which requires number, addition, subtraction, different conditions. Yeah, so does anybody wants to ask something?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, great. So if you guys don't have any more questions, you can start leaving. That was all for today, and then we'll continue tomorrow with loops. We'll do loops tomorrow.